Ryan, you don't have one. Let me grab one. And Yuri's got his. All right, at home, I think we're getting all settled and ready to go here. Huh. Every now and then I can hear somebody in that microphone up there, which is so weird. Let's just totally turn the microphone off. Then we won't have that problem. Alrighty. Well, welcome to class. So the thing I'd love to share with you, if you don't already know it, is a couple things, actually. Well, one is we have 2 retreats coming up, and I'm the leader of both, so I definitely want to personally invite you to come to at least one of them. We have a more local one, and it's February 24th to the 27th at the Himalayan Institute. So that's about a 3-hour drive north on 81, and the Himalayan Institute is a really cool place. It is a beautiful ashram where they are very expert in meditation and pranayama practices. So we'll get to partake in that. They also make chocolate and roast coffee. So we'll partake in that as well. And what that will look like is we have some snowshoeing hikes planned. So I've never snowshoed, but I'm curious about it. And then there's a co-teacher with me, Roberta Strickler, and she has. I always laugh and talk about Roberta as Roberta's who I want to be when I grow up. You've practiced with her at different times, but Roberta is in her mid-80s and still does vinyasa, still does headstands, and so I definitely want to be Roberta when I grow up. But she's co-leading. She's a great restorative yoga teacher and is a regular at the Himalayan Institute. So that's the one I'll tell you about, February 24th to the 27th. When you sign up with us, you also have to register with the Institute for your room. So there are 2 parts to that one. All right, let's get started. Let's get ready for practice. So on your mat in child's pose, toes together, knees open, arms forward, and your forehead down to your mat. Once you get settled right here on your mat, take a deep breath in, and then just exhale through your mouth. That's it. Everybody at home looks like you're joined in and we've got ourselves sorted out. See some beautiful Christmas trees at home. So the first order of business here is a slow, steady, deep, rhythmic breath. Tina, come on in. Create your breath so that you can just put all of your attention on it and experience your rib cage expanding and relaxing. Know that right now on your mat, this is an incredible opportunity that you've taken for yourself to become the best self that you can be today. And I acknowledge you for that, because that really takes something more than the usual to be up to being your best self. On your next inhale, lift your body up into downward facing dog. So downward facing dog, the upside down letter V-shaped body. When you get here, start to settle into your body. So what does that mean? Keep your breath flowing. Settle your gaze on the back center of your mat. And then check out your foundation, your hands and your feet. Perhaps set them wider or set them longer on your mat. Take a breath, and then as you exhale, just engage your fingertips. Let each fingertip just squeeze the mat, kind of like a cat pawing a pillow. And again, you might want to take your hands just a little bit wider. That's it. For one more breath, soften your knees and drag your hips up and back away from your hands. Then look forward and walk up to the front of your mat. When you get there, inhale, lift up halfway and put your palms on your thighs. Stay right here and breathe. You can keep soft knees and press back in your thigh bones as you reach your head away from this press back of your hands. Take a couple of breaths to make from head to tail as long as it can possibly be. You may discover your body's kind of hunched and rounded. If you can feel that in your body, soften your knees more and pull your chest more forward and your shoulders more back. We're looking for this long, flat back. Now, the longer we hold this, the more you should feel compelled to breathe. Keep your breath flowing and just engage the pit of your belly to support this whole shape that you're creating. Stay here for 3 more breaths, building and creating a quality shape in your body. You have 2 more. I'm seeing some really good poses. Laura, bring your back more flat. There you go. 1 more breath. And then let your body hang in ragdoll, so fold the whole way down. As you breathe each time, exhale and press the pit of your belly up into your spine and create it that your body looks like an upside down letter U and hang and breathe. Every breath, you push your abdominal muscles up until you can start to feel a warming on the whole back side of your body, from your heels up your legs, past your pelvis, your ribs, your neck, the crown of your head to your eyebrows. Breathe. See if you can notice the connection from your heels to your eyebrows. We're going to stay here for a couple more breaths. Focus on the sound of your own breathing and hearing the sound of others breathing in the room. And from home, you can hear your own breath and imagine you're part of the breath in this room. And from here, in our own imaginations, we'll include you in the breath in this room. Take one more breath. Stay here for this whole last exhale. Now press your feet down into the ground, all four corners. As you press them down, roll up to standing, one bone lifting at a time. Save your head lifting off your chest for last. Sweep your arms overhead, reach up, then bring your hands into prayer position at the center of your chest. Set your gaze on one point across the room and set an intention for this practice right now today. 3 times we'll chant Om together. Take a deep breath in. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold down to the floor. Inhale, lift up halfway. Get the long, flat back that you've already created. Exhale, high plank to low. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. 3 breaths here. So a deep breath in, a long breath out. As you breathe, engage with the floor with your fingertips and reach your hips up and back. One more time, breathe in, squeeze the floor, bend your knees, look forward, jump up to your hands. Halfway lift, forward fold. Press your feet down, stand up, reach up and go back, fold to the floor as you exhale. Inhale, lift up halfway, low plank as you exhale. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. 3 breaths. So really work your breath in your own body for your own self, but also listening for and connecting to others in this practice. One more time, breathe in, bend your knees, squeeze the floor, exhale, jump to your hands. Inhale, lift up halfway, fold down. Press down, rise up, extended mountain pose, reach, fold to the floor and empty your breath. Halfway lift, drop into the low plank, right down into the bottom of the pose. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. 3 breaths. Each fingertip engaged with the mat. One more time. Inhale. On the exhale, bend your knees. Jump to your hands. Halfway lift. Forward fold. Press down, reach up, stretch up and go back. Fold to the floor, exhale. Inhale, lift up halfway. High plank, low plank, hover. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. 3 breaths here. 2 more. Now as your body's warming up, take up a little more space. One more time, inhale. Bend your knees, exhale, jump. Halfway lift, forward fold. Chair pose, sit into your heels, reach up, fold to the floor on the exhale. Halfway lift, get the long flat back, keep it, low plank. Upward facing dog, soft elbows, open your chest, downward facing dog. Step your right foot forward, lunge. Arms overhead. We'll take a few breaths here, so keep breathing. While you're breathing, not with your eyes looking, but from what you're feeling in your own body, press the back edge of your back foot down into the mat. Once it's anchored, lunge forward into a more bend of your front knee. Keep your legs deep. Inhale, pull your torso up out of your legs. One more breath. Hands to the floor, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, shoulders go back, downward facing dog. Left foot forward, warrior one, arms overhead. So if you end up with your body like it's set up on a tightrope, one foot behind the other one, give yourself a little more stability. Open your feet a little wider so that there's space, like two fists between your two heels. And then take on what you know to do. Press the back edge of your foot. Go deep into your lunge, down to where there's a sensation you haven't felt before. Then stretch up, reach up, and then hands to the floor, low push-up. Upward facing dog, inhale. Downward facing dog, exhale. 3 breaths. When you get ready for your jump forward, know you can always take the handstand hops. Inhale. On the exhale, bend your knees and look. Jump to your hands. Halfway lift, flat back, fold. Here we go. Chair pose, sit, reach up, fold to the floor. Halfway lift, low plank, drop. Upward facing dog. Get the stretch all the way up your abdomen. Downward facing dog. Right foot forward and lunge. Wake your body up. Hands to the floor, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. The left side. Deepest lunge. Inhale, reach and breathe. Hands to the floor, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Breathe here. In these sun salutations, we're awakening this synchronicity between movement and breath and pressing the edge of our comfort zone. One more breath in. Bend your knees, look forward, jump to your hands. Squat down, reach up. Fold to the floor. Halfway lift, drop to the low plank. Upward facing dog, get the stretch. Downward facing dog, right foot forward. A long stride, a bold lunge, reach up. Hands to the floor, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Left side now. Step forward, deep, deep lunge and reach. Hands to the floor, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Breathe here. Movement by movement, breath by breath, we create the version of ourselves that will leave the room today. One more breath in. Exhale, bend your knees and look. Jump to your hands. Halfway lift. Fold. Chair pose. Sit way down and reach. Fold to the floor on your exhale. Halfway lift. Drop to the low plank. Upward facing dog. Open. Downward facing dog. Right foot forward. Deepest lunge yet. This is it. Reach up and stretch. Hands to the floor. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. The left foot forward. This stretch tells you how much space you'll have in poses to come. Hands to the floor. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Now take just one breath in. Let there be a sigh here. Raise your right leg into the air. Bend your knee, heel to your hip. Flip the pose over. So flip dog. 2 feet to the floor. One hand to the floor. At first, get the foundation set up. Press into the floor with your feet and hand and rise up out of your bottom shoulder. Once you've got that, reach up and overhead. 2 hands to the floor, maybe for wheel pose. Stay here. That's it, Bob. Yes, I see a lot of wheels. Side plank. Your right hand to the mat. Face the left side of your mat or room. Stack your body up. Sometimes this pose can occur as like, I'm always already doing this pose. What else is there? While you're in this pose, you have some choices. Increase the intensity by lifting your top leg. If you already always lift your top leg in the air, stretch, and every time you exhale, bend your knee and touch your elbow to your knee. Stretch open and touch your elbow. Just take that 3 times. Give it a try. Gives you a ton of core strength. There you go. That's it, Tina. All right, one more. Hands to the floor, chaturanga. That was like when a baby learns to crawl and the whole brain changes. Downward facing dog. We got another side to try this on. So the left leg up in the air. Bend your knee, heel to your hip, and flip it over, 2 feet on the floor. Keep your breath flowing as you make all these movements. Get that movement where you're pressing your hand down, and instead of your shoulder shrugging to your ear, you press down and make a lot of space in your shoulder. Then reach all the way overhead for the wheel pose. Give it a try. Got a few takers. Touch the floor. Side plank. Left hand on the mat. Face the right side of your mat and stack the pose up. Sometimes when I'm learning a new thing, I've always watched this with my daughters, there comes a point where we're just not getting any progress. And if we just move ahead to the next skill, the last skill falls in place. So 3 times when you exhale, elbow to your top knee and then reach back up. 2 more times, elbow to your knee and reach back up. 1 more time, elbow to your knee and reach back up. Control it, low plank. Upward facing dog. This is not a favorite in the room right here. Downward facing dog. Take a breath. I don't know how that went at home. I wasn't quite close enough to watch. I'll assume you took it the same way as they did here. Step your right foot forward to crescent lunge. Arms overhead. So if you need to reset your breath, reset your breath. Set your gaze. You can always start again from any point in the practice. And then bring your hands to prayer position and twist. So left elbow to your right knee. Anchor yourself there. You press and twist, and then open your arms, bottom arm to the floor, top arm to the ceiling. Wrap your top arm around behind your back, so just let your top shoulder roll open. 3 breaths, deep lunge. From your right hip crease all the way up to your chin, make there be length there. That's it, Megan. Let's do 1 more breath. Inhale, stay here, exhale. Reach back up, crescent lunge. Turn to your left, warrior 2. So just get to the left and get settled into your body. And then start to organize it through how it feels. Front foot, point straight forward, right over your knee. Good correction, Bob. Lunge down low. Now in your back foot, put weight in your big toe, pick your heel up and swing it out. So your foot is angled in, and then from there, lunge down. You should feel so much more action in your back leg like that. You feel that? Take a breath, and then tilt, extended side angle. So surprise yourself. It might be new for you. You might be able to bend your knee a little bit more and reach for the floor. Brian, you're ready to reach to the floor. You got it. Bend your knee. I know you have this capacity. 3 more breaths. Next time, maybe you'll just flip your card. Roll your left shoulder up and open. You got it. Now, in this last breath, just let something go that's tight in your back and open. Nice. Hands to the floor, chaturanga. Remember, you can do that. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Just take a breath and have a sigh, and then left foot forward for crescent lunge. Arms overhead. Hands to prayer and twist. So for the first decade of me practicing, I really didn't like this section of the sequence. I thought it was really hard. And it makes sense. The section is called vitality. It's going to take some heat to get to vitality. You can open your arms, half bind or full bind. Now I find myself looking forward to it because I can feel how that heat creates an opening in my body that I wasn't going to get otherwise. 2 more breaths. Twist. 1 more. Breathe here. Twist. Reach right up to the crescent lunge. Set your gaze. Open to warrior 2. That's all right. Take a breath. That's a great reaction at the end of the pose where your whole system is like, whoa, that was something. And then set up. The longer your legs are, the longer the stride. So walk your front foot forward, angle your back toes in and tilt. Take a double check in your front knee. Point your knee and toes in the same direction. Yeah. So that it's not your ankle that just swings your toes out in this warrior 2 of your front foot. A common default is your knee is pointing kind of in and your toes are out. All of it pointing forward, and your hip is what opens to give you more access. For everybody, lunge down 3 inches deeper. You might do it by popping your back heel out further again. Now in your last breath, turn your chest to the ceiling, let your back get easy. Hands to the floor, chaturanga. It's a lot of good work. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Take just 1 breath in. On the exhale, bend your knees, look forward, jump to your hands. Halfway lift, forward fold. Chair twist to the right, so squat down, hands to prayer, and twist. Put your left elbow on your right thigh and sit back. Really work the bellows of your lungs, your breath. Let it even be that the action of your breathing is opening and making more flexible, creating more space in your back. We'll take 3 more breaths in this pose. So sit deep and take yourself to the edge of the pose. You got 1 more breath here. Stay for the whole exhale. Reach up to chair pose, forward fold. Feet hip width distance. Hook your big toes with your middle and index fingers. On your next inhale, lift up halfway. So you're pulling up out of your joints. And then exhale, drag your chest down to your toes. Shake your head out. Take a sigh. And let your whole intention, your being, be easy. Take 1 more sigh. Chair twist the other way. Squat back, hands to prayer. Now you're twisting to the left. So right elbow, left knee. Take a look at your feet and see that your feet are parallel to one another. Listen and sense where the weight is of your feet and maybe sit back more deeply. Take yourself to the edge of the pose. 3 more breaths. Work together in your last 3 breaths. You have 2 more. Sit deep. Last one. Reach up to chair pose. Forward fold. Gorilla pose. So your palms go under your feet from the front. You stand on your hands. You can wiggle your toes. I always wiggle my toes on my wrists to massage my wrists. That's it, Tina. And then I really have to shake my head and take a sigh so that the weight of my head just takes my spine and draws it down long. So that from the hips, through the whole of the lower back, the middle back, upper back, right down to the skull, there's length. Brian, drop your head. Yes, that probably just feels better. You can release your hands from beneath your feet and take your choice of crow pose, seated or on your hands, or handstand hops. The handstand hops are 1 leg straight up in the air, handstand hands squeezing the floor, and taking a little hop and bringing your knee into your chest. You can take 1 hop and hold it, or keep taking hops. Yep, you got it, Bob. 5 breaths. So you want to need to bring a lot of energy into this with your 5 breaths. Yuri, I saw that. Keep going. Press and see if you can lift up. 3 more breaths. Press. 2 more breaths. Press and lift your hips up. There it is. Press the floor, press the floor, press the floor. You can drop into the chaturanga if you want. I don't know if you're feeling that bold today. For everyone from crow pose or handstand, chaturanga. You can come on down. That was really good. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Take a breath. And decide we've got all kinds of crazy tricks going on here. Another breath in. Breath out and look forward. Jump up to your hands. Halfway lift and fold. Take your time. Press into the floor. Come rolling up to standing. Again, save your neck unrolling for last. And then arms overhead. Right side eagle pose. Wrap your right arm under the left. Squat down. Right leg over your left leg. Set your gaze on one point and breathe. Build the breath. Build the breath like you're building a reservoir of energy that you might need in a moment. Keep your arms bound in your eagle arms. Unwrap your right leg. Set your gaze on one point and reach your legs back to airplane legs. Once your legs are in airplane legs, keep your bound arms, but just move your fingertips a little more toward the front of the room where you're looking. Breathe here. Really wake up your back foot, all of your toes spreading, your leg active. Stay right here. Open up to half moon. So left fingertips on the ground, right arm high in the air. You got it. Just stretch for the ceiling. Your back leg, the lifting leg, in a handstand, in half moon, in airplane, is the driver of the pose. In crescent lunge. So put all of your attention on your right foot's toes. One more breath. Keep that leg in the air. 2 hands on the floor for splits in the air. So keep it up there. I know your standing hip is opening. Different from hurting. Leg in the air. Stay right here or hug the standing leg and draw your chest closer to the floor for 3 breaths. You have 1 more breath. And then for everybody, hands on the floor, tippy toe on your standing foot. You can take this handstand prep or the handstands. The prep looks like this. Inhale, bend your knee. Exhale, lean into your fingertips. Inhale, bend your knee. Exhale, lean. Or inhale, bend your knee, and exhale, jump. 5 more times. Keep the leg in the air. Bob, just keep your knee into your chest. Last breath. For everyone, forward fold and hang. So when you're learning handstands, and then forever after, because it will be your discipline, it's a calm, steady with breath movement. 1 leg in the air, 1 knee into your chest until you master that. Come rolling up to standing. Once you're standing tall, sweep your arms overhead, left arm under, squat down, left leg over. So bend your standing knee. Squat like you're sitting in chair pose. Squat like you're just sliding your back down a wall behind you. With your arms bound while you're standing here in eagle, you can raise your fingertips up toward the ceiling and press them away from your face until your whole upper back is stretching. Once your whole upper back is stretching, unwind your top leg, keep your arms bound, move into airplane legs. So now we know that the leg that's lifted is steering the whole pose and all of your balance. Put your attention on the leg that's in the air, wake it up, make it alive before that leg controlling the pose. Move your fingertips a little more in front of you, and then release, leg in the air, standing splits. Oh no, half moon, we did half moon first. Sorry. Right hand to the floor, left arm to the ceiling, half moon pose. Open up your hips, lift your leg. That's it, Paige, toes awake like that and lift your leg. You got it. Brian, wake up your knee. That whole back leg is looking so good, but wake up your knee and stretch like you're kicking the cubbies. Yep. Okay, stay here with your lifted leg, 2 hands to the floor, standing splits here. So you could put your hands, if it's like the standing splits are asking for a little more support, you could put your hands on blocks. That might give you a chance to just adapt your body to this pose shape. Maybe you're hugging your standing leg, but you should all need your breath. From here, handstand prep, so bending your knee and maybe kicking a little bit, kicking into the handstands, up to you. That's it, Bob. Stretch, stretch. Oh, every time you wavered there and just kind of, you started to lose it. You had it otherwise. Couple more tries. 1 more breath. Forward fold and hang. So wherever you are in the standing splits and the handstand prep is exactly the right place to be. Don't have a sense that you'll never be the person trying on the handstand. Let yourself rest here. Then come all the way up to standing and sweep your arms overhead, standing bow pose. So your right arm behind you, bend your knee, hold your ankle from the inside, left arm in the air. Get settled in the pose, and then start to stretch. Sorry, I think your head might be backwards. Yeah, keep going around there. Feel the difference in your shoulder? While you're in the pose, take a breath in, let there be a sigh that comes out, and stretch. If you start wiggling, stretch more. You got it. Keep your eyes on one spot and stretch. Karen, your arm is here. Open it up. Just, yes. 1 more breath. Step out. Some really nice poses. Feet on the floor, hands on your hips, let your body settle. If I really worked that pose, I need a breath here. Left side. Left arm back, bend your knee, hold your ankle from the inside. I invite you to surprise yourself in this pose. Let it take you where you haven't experienced before. Switch it again. This can be a weird grip. Keep going around. Hand, nope. Yes, you got it. Breathe. Now in the pose, keep reaching and keep kicking. In the pose, take a sigh and let your back relax. Now press gently and kick equal and off. Yes, keep doing that. 5 more breaths. Drive your foot up to the ceiling, keep stretching. This is so good for you. Keep on going, pushing, stretching, more. One more breath. Good, step out, nice. Feet on the floor. A little bit more need the breath here. Let's take tree pose next. Stand on your left foot. Bring the sole of your right foot to your left inner thigh. Interlace your fingers, press your palms up and overhead. So if you realize for yourself or the room that you don't hear breath anymore, just feel free to start again. And a lot of times you can just start. Sometimes a sigh is a great beginning. And then let yourself be in the pose and work the pose. See what's possible for you in the pose. Don't worry if you fall out of it. Notice what you're thinking about when you start to lose your balance. For me, I'm inevitably thinking about, oh my gosh, I'm losing my balance, or oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm balancing. Okay, step out and switch sides. Like every time I'm falling out of a pose, if I look, that's what I'm thinking about. So right foot on the ground, left foot to your right inner thigh. Now there's an automatic way that you probably just interlaced your fingers. I know I always do. So maybe you can switch that, the other baby fingers on the bottom. That will feel weird. And then press up, and that will feel weird too. And then breathe. Press down, rise up and reach up. And again, bring breath. We need breath. From home, bring enough breath that here in the room they have breath. You got it, that's it. Keep going. 2 more. Last one. Step out. Come to the front of your mat. Inhale and sweep your arms overhead. Fold to the floor. You got it, Lena. Fold to the floor. Inhale, lift up halfway. High plank to low plank. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Step your right foot forward to triangle. So the default is to take a little step in triangle. And triangle's a pose that wants a big base. So make the pose long if you don't typically make it long. Back foot angled in. I always start with my hands on either side of my front leg so I can really anchor my front foot and press back to my sitting bone. Get all this stretch and then turn it open. A hand can go on a block behind your front ankle or on the floor. Maybe it's appropriate to be on your shin. Anchor your feet into the mat. And then draw the pit of your belly into your body and keep that strong. And when those 3 points, feet, 2 feet in your belly, there's core is strong. Now as you breathe, you can sigh and just drop your head back. Let your chest open. Look behind you, maybe reach behind you. 1 more breath. Come up to standing. Face the long left side of your mat with your feet parallel to the short sides or even turned in. Then lift up high and forward fold. You have a lot of options here. It's often my favorite to just walk my fingertips forward and drag, hang my hips back so that from my fingertips to my hips, I'm getting this incredible amount of stretching. And then from there, all there is to do to take yourself to the edge is to breathe. Breathe and experience more space between each one of your ribs. Breathe and feel like the whole of your lungs is working. And as it works, it's expanding and making space and then relaxing. 2 more breaths. Last one. Come on up to standing. Turn and face the front of your mat for standing single leg forward fold. It's not quite as long as a stride as, say, a triangle or warrior 1, but it's pretty big. And there's still width. Hands behind your back in prayer pose, so palms together. Lift your chest up high and forward fold. You do always have the choice to take a split. Go longer if you can, Bob, and wider. So there's long, now wide. Bring these toes. Yeah, that'll work. Once you get long in your base and wide, work with the four corners of your feet, adjusting how you hold your weight in your feet to adjust your hips and adjust the intensity in the back of the front leg's thigh, your hamstrings. Twisting triangle, your legs and hips are set. Left hand to the floor, right arm to the side or to the ceiling. And so what we don't want to have happen is this default where your hips swing to the right. We want it to be that both of your hips are pulling back. And that you use a block under your hand if you feel like you have to hunch and round forward to get this long, flat back. And then look for stretching in your whole back right rib cage as you take this pose. So you can see what we did before, showing up here. Press the four corners of your front foot down. Drag your right hip back. Keep dragging it back, yes, and lengthening your back left ribs. Chest toward the ceiling. Reach for the ceiling. Now you're feeling it. One more breath. Hands to the floor, downward facing dog. Switch side, left side triangle. Use your breath. You might be moving different from your neighbor to set up your triangle pose. Go longer if you can, Paige. Yep. Set up your triangle, bring breathing. Every move you make, let it be generated by breath. Tina, you could go longer with this base. Erica, that's an awesome base. Kathy, nice base. Allison, I can't see from that angle, but what I can see is now that your feet are set, pull in the pit of your belly, keep it, and on your exhales, just let your chest open and your head drop back. Just like that, Kathy and Erica, and look behind you. So Allison, can you start to see the couch behind you? Everyone in the room, can you start to see the person behind you? Look for Yuri. That's it. Turn your head back. Brian, look for the poster behind you. Let your shoulders just melt back. Come on up to standing. Wide-legged forward fold. So face the long right side of your mat. Hands around behind your back, interlaced, or holding a strap. Lift your chest and forward fold. Once you get down in the fold, you can double check your feet. They have this sneaky way of defaulting and turning toes out. You can make the adjustment to make them once again parallel to the short sides of the mat. If you notice about yourself, you get down here and it just all feels crowded. Your hands don't really leave your lower back. Use a strap or a hand towel next time to put some length and space between your two hands. Now, once you get into this fold, it can seem like, is this all you got? Is that all this pose is going to be about? And you could breathe, and you could discover it for yourself, what the pose could be about. There's definitely something amazing here for you. Take 3 more breaths. What's available to you in your body right now? You have 1 more breath. Then bring yourself up to standing. Turn and face the front of your mat. Standing, single leg forward fold. So the left leg, now the front leg. So width. Doesn't matter if there's a little lift of the back heel, and most people will have some softening of the front knee. Hands either interlaced behind you, or take the reverse prayer pose and fold. Yeah, so you should be really having your attention in your body as you're making the move to fold, and make adjustments as you go, softening your front knee, shifting weight in your feet, seeing what there is to see in your own body. Stay with it and breathe. A lot of great alignment in the room right now. 3 more breaths. 2 more. Little softness at home on the front knees. Allison and Erica, fold. Twisting triangle, come up halfway. Right hand on the block or floor under your right shoulder. Get that stable foundation of hips back, chest, shoulders forward, and then start working that you're pulling some length in this pose. So left hip, instead of swinging to the left, it's right behind you, and you keep breathing and stretching into the back right ribs. Pull this hip back too. Breathe and stretch into your back ribs. Then for the last couple breaths, just let your shoulder blades go together. Something about your upper back get easy, and then turn, hands to the floor, downward facing dog. From the downward dog, come to a high plank and lower down to your belly on the mat for locust pose. We'll take 1. Keep your toes turned under the way they were in the push-up. Activate your legs and your belly, and then just lift up from here. How high you lift doesn't really matter at first. Create the stable foundation of a back bend where your toes are turned under, your feet are at 12 o'clock up and down from floor to ceiling, legs strong and powerful. Back of your pelvis broad. Front of your pelvis narrowing or closing. Sides of your waist long. Finally, chest opening. 1 more breath. Come on down. Let's take floor bow. Let's take 1 set. Bend your knees. Reach back and hold your ankles. If it's difficult to reach your ankles, you could use a strap around your 2 ankles. That's it. Roll your shoulders back. Let your shoulders be easy. Then press back and kick up. Now keep your knees only hip width distance. I usually have to turn around and look at each of my feet, because when I do look back there, if this was my foot and this is my big toe, my feet are kind of sickling in. So I have to really concentrate to get them looking like they're standing on the ceiling. That's it. You just made the right change there. Stay right here with this pose. That's it. Push up right here. Breathe. 3 more breaths. Knees a little closer together if they're getting wide. Last breath, and come on down. You can wave your feet from side to side, and then press your hands into the floor at your bottom ribs for upward facing dog, and move to downward facing dog. From the downward dog, jump through your hands, sit down, and roll onto your back for bridge pose. Once you get on your back, bend your knees, ankles underneath of your knees, press down into the floor, and rise up with your hips toward the ceiling. Organize your shoulders so they're tucked under your back so that you have as much broadening in the front of your chest as is possible. Get set here. Understand the foundation of your feet and your shoulders right here from bridge pose. In fact, anchor your feet powerfully right where they are. And without moving them, bring your right knee into your chest. And reach your toes to the ceiling of your right leg. And then 3 times up like you're touching the ceiling. 1 more. Bring your knee into your chest, foot on the floor. Anchor your feet without moving your feet. Left knee into your chest. Toes up to the ceiling. It's going to take some equal and opposite pressure of the foot to the ceiling and the foot on the floor. Last time touch the ceiling, bend your knee and come back down. Knees side to side. Okay, 3 more back bends here. Start inside of a bridge pose. Lift up into bridge. Once you get to bridge, get your hands set up for wheel. Push onto the top of your head. Settle there. Once you're on the top of your head, move your hands wide as your mat. Once they're there, press down and lift up. When you get into this wheel pose, 3 times just roll your shoulders. It's like a mutiny here on the yoga mats. Come on down. Knees side to side. We have 2 more. What I'm looking for you to have access to is when you set your hands really wide, there's freedom in your shoulders. Let's do another one. Set up, bridge pose, onto your head, set your hands wide, press down and rise up. So by wide, I mean at least half of your hand hanging off the edge of your mat. The stronger or tighter your shoulders are, the more you'll need the width. Come on down. Knees side to side. So when you're getting that width, what are you noticing that you have access differently to? One more time to just check it out. Set yourself up, bridge pose first. Top of your head is a good spot for most people to be able to reset their hands. Then press down and rise up. You want help with one here, Brian? Oh, you don't even need help. Actually, come on down for a second. Hold on to my ankles. It just grabbed. Oh, okay. Just here. Give me your hands. Hold there. 3 more breaths. Press down and rise up. Now relax your shoulders and press onto my ankles. Press, 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 and come on down. Knees go side to side. Supta Baddha Konasana. Soles of your feet together. Knees out. The teacher whose namesake is on the style of yoga we practice, Baron Baptiste, has been my teacher and friend for a long time. And I can remember one of the last trainings I was at before the pandemic. There was a professional basketball player who came for a visit. He's a really tall guy, like double the size of Baron. Baron's not very tall. And they were telling this funny story where Baron had met him. His name is Kyle. And he tried that back bend, holding Baron's ankles for a spot. And he couldn't do it, and he couldn't do it, and they were all cheering, and he finally pressed his arm straight up into the pose, and then he was like stuck there. And he didn't know how to get back down out of the pose, Supta Baddha Konasana. Stuck there, and Baron was sharing and laughing and saying, he thought to himself, oh my gosh, there's this like gazillion-dollar player. I'm about to like ruin his shoulders for the rest of his life in his professional sport. You can take dead bug pose. And ultimately, he got out of the pose, and it was a massive victory for him. But there's this sense of that first wheel when you really get your hands set wide, especially if your shoulders and your back are a little bit tight, of all of a sudden there being some new malleability and freedom. And it's almost so overwhelming, like a paradigm shift. You don't even know how to move anymore, where you are in space. I think it's amazing that those kinds of breakthroughs are available. Okay, legs straight up in the air. Flex your feet so you can see your toenails. And then curl up enough that you're reaching for your toenails. So you don't have to touch them. We're just getting the sense of being curled here, like a letter U. Now, every time you exhale, blow out through your mouth, pull your abdominal muscles deeper, and then reach higher to your toenails. Give it a practice. Blow out and reach. That's what we're going to do. Ready? Let's do it 10 times. Go up for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hug your knees into your chest. Legs back up in the air. Lower your right foot down to hover off of the mat. And when you look at your toes, instead of your toes and your foot turning out, both legs, point them all like they're at 12 o'clock. The foot that you're looking at that's hanging over the ground, straight up and down. Then curl up and reach for the baby toe side of your left foot with your right hand. Then every time we exhale, you'll reach a little higher and go for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Blow out. 3, 2, 1. Hug your knees. Switch sides. Double check that the foot that's hanging off of the ground is pointing straight up and down, not turned out. Then curl up and reach for the outside of your right foot with your left baby fingers. You got it. And pulse. 10. Blow out. 9. If your lower back hurts, the leg that's hovering, raise it higher or bend it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hug your knees and just rock head to tail, the length of your spine, back and forth until you can go all the way through to downward facing dog. Once you get to downward facing dog, we'll take pigeon pose. Right leg forward. Right knee up to your right wrist. If you take a look, your right thigh should be parallel to the right side of your mat. To make the pose more intense, you'd bring your shin more square to the front of your mat. And then for everyone, a block perhaps under your right hip. To look at your pose from above, both sides of your pelvis should be level. Now set your gaze on one point here and breathe a steady breath. It can be down and it can be forward, wherever you pick to set your gaze. Put as much focus into your breath as you have for any pose so far today. If there's not an intensity in your hip, bring your shin more square to the front of your mat and keep breathing. With your breath, with your drishti, with the sensation from the pose in your hip, let all of that serve for you as an anchor that holds you just right here in this pose, in your skin, in your body, and has you just stay here and see what there is to see. Just attention on your breath, A steady inhale, pause, a lengthy exhale, pause. Keep the rhythm of your breath that you have set. Keep your gaze. Put your hands on the floor under your shoulders. Step into downward dog and then forward with your left foot. Just so simple like that. Left leg forward. The whole time, keep your breath. The whole time, keep your gaze and open up to something that's new for you in the pose, something that's a different experience. Something that lives in the world of possibility, like you could be in motion and still be fully present. You could be in an uncomfortable pose and then a comfortable pose and back to an uncomfortable pose maybe, and still have a steady breath. Level of discomfort is not an issue. You still have a steady breath. Steady attention. Seems so simple, but there's a little more to it than it just seems on the surface. Sit onto your left hip. Swing your right leg around for a seated single leg extension. So left leg bent, right leg long and straight, toes pointing up to the ceiling. Turn to face your long right leg and fold over your leg. Now you may be working on getting out of the squish of your glutes behind your sitting bones. You may be working on being able to sit up tall. That may include that you soften your knee by putting a water bottle underneath of you and lace your hands at your lower back and work on being long and tall and hinging in your hips, different than curling in your back and your spine. See what there is to see for you. Toes active, so Laura, yeah, toes right up. And with your left hand, you can hold the baby toe side of your foot. When you're doing that, you'll be softening your outside ankle so that your toes pull back. Your ankle relaxes and softens. Switch sides. Left leg long, right leg bending. Get up off of your glutes onto the edge, the front edge of your sitting bones. Maybe you take some lengthening. Maybe with your foot that's against your inner thigh, those 2 points are resisting one another like you feel in tree pose, and you're getting much more action down the inner seam of your leg. As you work to fold, maybe you're reaching. So in every pose, done again and again, you have an opportunity to discover something new. Part of the reason why we have a very set sequence that we then vary based on where your skill is taking you is because you know you're changing, not the poses are changing. It gives you this opportunity for deep discovery. If we always change the poses, you'll never know what's going on. And one pose won't develop out of skill in an old pose. Come on up, 2 legs in front of you, fold. This is a long hinging flat back too. I find it can be really interesting in my own body to get a sense of the length that it takes to get up out of the pelvis. It's informing, isn't it, to find that space. It can also feel really good to just tuck your chin, hold on to your toes, and let your body be round. Okay, come on up, roll onto your back, legs straight up in the air for a waterfall pose, or roll your feet overhead to plow pose. Plow can move into shoulder stand if you'd like. From shoulder stand into plow into deaf man's pose. Ultimately, roll out onto your long, flat back and hug your knees into your chest. Your knees can drop to the right while you turn and look and reach to the left. Once you get your body settled in this twist, take a deep breath in and exhale. And then switch sides. Turn to the opposite side. And take a deep breath in and exhale here. Onto your back for Supta Baddha Konasana. So on your flat back, soles of your feet together, knees open. And in this way, with the soles of your feet together and your knees open, there's this opportunity to lengthen your lower back, to set your shoulder blades under your body. And then arms out wide and palms face up to the ceiling. Ensure that your arms and shoulders are comfortable. Then stretch your legs out long and wide for Shavasana. Check in with your lower back. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Again, check in. See if your body's gaining an opportunity to settle, bones into the floor. And perhaps take another breath in. And this time as you exhale, really allow your bones to settle down into the floor. And then once you've gotten to the point where your body's as settled as it will be, let your breath become easy. Your everyday breath, just trained and informed by your Ujjayi breath. Nurturing and sustaining, soft, reliable. And if it takes another sigh for you to let your body settle deeply, then do that. While you're lying here, let yourself be fully present to the experience that you're having. Be available to feel whatever you're feeling. Physically, emotionally, just feel what you're feeling. Experience whatever is coming up and you're experiencing. Different than suppressing. And in doing all of that, see if you have access to deep rest. Take a deep breath in and exhale through your mouth. Inhale. As you exhale, squeeze your fingers and your toes, maybe roll your head from side to side. Then hug your knees into your chest. Roll to your side. And bring yourself up into a sitting position. So set up that you just feel comfortable, whatever that takes. You can have your eyes closed or set your gaze on one point. Once you're seated, inhale and sweep your arms overhead. Exhale and bring your hands into prayer position at the center of your chest and pause here. Check in. Feel what you feel. Check into your experience, and then from here, set an intention for the rest of the day. What's available right here. And one more time we'll chant Om together. Take a deep breath in. Bring your thumb knuckles to the center of your forehead. Inhale and exhale through your mouth. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you at home and thank you in the studio for joining. I just acknowledge each one of you for taking the time to just set yourself on the right path today, to be the best person that you can be. It takes the attention and the breath and the physicality to get there, and you are the people that show up and do that work, and that really makes the world a better place. You can't really underestimate that. So thank you all. I'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.